Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. Happy VS Code Livestream Thursday. Happy VS Code Release Livestream Thursday. My name is Olivia. I'm a developer advocate on the VS Code team, and I'm so excited to be here with you all today. If you are new to this, every month we host a release live stream, bring on some of the engineers and PM team, so you can hear directly from the product group about what the latest features are, get your questions answered, and just hang out. So I see we already have some comments in the chat. Dovey, another awesome stream. Yes, we love these. Hello, Apple Gaming. Hello, Ray. Tinku, hi from India. Thank you so much for joining. Let me know, chat, where you're joining from, because I love to see just where from all over the world we have people tuning in from. Like I mentioned, today is our special monthly release live stream. And if you're not already aware, VS Code releases monthly, and there's always so many awesome updates in there. And so we like to take a chance to really just dive into it deep with the product group. Like I mentioned, it's a chance to interact with everyone. So throughout all the demos, make sure you're dropping questions in the chat and we'll get them answered. With that, I want to just go over the release notes a little bit in case you're not already familiar with those. So with every monthly release, we publish release notes and you can see all the highlights, everything that's in here. I'm not even going to go through every single thing because there's a lot, but I just want to do a plug to check these out, because while we'll see some of the highlights from the release in this release live stream, there's so much more. And my favorite part of the release notes is this final section, which is the thank you section. So VS Code is open source. If you weren't following along, we even open sourced the Copilot chat extension a month or two ago. It's very important to us, and we love to thank our contributors for helping make VS Code what it is. I think if you ask anyone who's coming on today, everyone will agree that our contributors are really the heart of VS Code. So I'll just do a quick scroll through. Again, it's always fun because there's so many, I can't just individually do shout outs. But just a quick thank you. If your name is here and you're watching, we couldn't do this without you. Okay, with that, oh, I see so many people coming in from all over, from Libya, London, Florida, Washington. I love it. Okay. With that, let's go ahead and bring on our first guest, Brigit. Hey, Brigit.
Hey. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing so well. Thanks.
Nice. Thanks so much for being on. I know that you're kind of a veteran when it comes to coming on these release live streams, but some people might be new to it. So I was wondering if you could just kick off with a quick intro of who you are and what you do on the VS Code team, and then we can dive into your demo.
Absolutely. So my name is Brigit Murtaugh. I'm a product manager on the VS Code team, and I've gotten to work on a ton of really cool features. I've done different work with remote development or remote extensions over the years, and more recently, my focus is with GitHub Copilot, our next edit suggestions or NES experience, and our Copilot coding agent experience.
Cool. Yes. If y'all do any remote development, you've definitely seen Brigit. That was the big thing. Next edit suggestions, love it. If anyone has any feedback or questions about that, feel free to drop that too. But I know that that's not necessarily your focus for this demo. So what will you be talking about today then?
Yes, today we're going to look at some of the latest updates that our team has made integrating with the Copilot coding agent in VS Code. We're super excited about these changes, and they are all super recent as of the last iteration or two. So it might be some new stuff that folks haven't seen, and we would love for folks to check it out and give us some feedback.
Cool. And could you do just like a quick overview of what exactly coding agent is?
Absolutely. So the Copilot coding agent is essentially letting you delegate tasks in the background off to Copilot. So there may be times that you're doing some work and you're really in the zone, and then you realize like, oh, I need to make this update, or oh, it'd be cool if someone had time to go and explore like fixing this issue or adding this feature to my project. And you could totally do that synchronously while in VS Code, while in agent mode, ask mode, using completions or NES. but you may be really focused on something else, or you may be wanting to just like go to lunch or finish up work for the day and just kind of let Copilot work on that while you don't have to think about it. So the coding agent lets you basically delegate tasks so Copilot can work on it, and then it can notify you when it's ready, and when a draft pull request is ready, that then you can take the time to review and iterate on.
Cool. So yeah, let's talk about what's new then with the most recent release and what that experience looks like.
Absolutely. So here in VS Code, I wanted to show a couple of settings that our team has recently added, so that way folks can follow along. They can set these settings themselves too, to make sure they're getting kind of the latest UI and integration. So one of them is coding agent UI integration. So once you enable this, you're going to get this cool cloud button here in the chat panel that's going to let you delegate tasks to the coding agent. And I'll show you in a moment what that looks like. Another setting that would be really cool for folks to try checking out is chat sessions view. So if you do that, you'll be able to set different locations to go ahead and manage your local and remote agent sessions. So definitely feel free to go ahead and try enabling those settings. I'll close out of that. And so kind of the scenario that I'm working with here that I found to work quite well is I'm doing some sort of work, planning, learning on my repo while I'm in chat in VS Code. So for instance, this is a repo, and kind of tying back to some of the other work I've done, this is a repo we often use for next edit suggestions demos. And I found a really helpful case with Copilot is a lot of times I want to add more demo scenarios and more test cases to a repo, but I don't necessarily want to like consciously be working on that and focusing on that task. It's really nice just to delegate that off of, hey, this is missing some examples, or make this example more robust, more interesting. Go handle that for me, Copilot. So here what I've done in the chat panel right now is I actually went and fetched our NES docs. So that way Copilot has full context into what kind of stuff I'm doing with NES. And I said, hey, what are some interesting NES scenarios or languages that aren't currently covered by this repo? So I'm able to use the expertise of fetching that website and Copilot's expertise of what's in this project right now. So it's able to tell me some information of, hey, like here's some maybe different scenarios or languages that aren't currently covered by this project. And so I think this is really cool. I think this is a nice starting spot for how I might like to go ahead and expand this code. And I don't really want to like focus on this task. I think this is a really neat one that I can just delegate off to the coding agent in the background. So I'm going to say this list sounds great. Maybe I just want to start in a couple of them. So maybe there's 6 different items. Maybe let's just start with item 6 and see how the coding agent can handle that. Let's start by adding examples for your 6th point above. And now I'm going to go ahead and click this cloud button to delegate this off to the coding agent. Now I'm going to zoom out a few levels just because we're going to start working with a bunch of different sessions. We don't really need to worry about what the specific output is. More of the point is like how we can kind of structure and move between sessions freely. So don't worry if the text is a little bit smaller here. So we're going to see that now some things have changed here. And so something that also is a lot of what you're seeing here has come in our last VS Code release. So we actually have a card that's output into the chat panel that is going to be a link to the pull request that's created. So the coding agent, when it starts its work, it's going to draft a pull request in my repo. And what's really nice is that we have a GitHub pull request and issues extension in VS Code. And so you can actually stay completely in VS Code to work with your PRs and your issues. That includes that PRs that the coding agent is creating and updating in the background. Now, as well, something else is that we've seen this new editor open here. And this is an editor window that's actually attached to my remote coding agent session. And so I'm actually going to see the output of that's being streamed back of what the coding agent is doing. And so it's nice because I can like follow along with what's happening on separate compute off in the background, and I can track what's going on here. But I also don't have to. So if I didn't want to track this, I could close it out and I could just go ahead and focus back on my code or focus back on my local ask or agent mode.
And it will just keep doing its thing in the background, essentially.
Exactly. And so you can be as involved or not as involved as you want, depending on what the task is. And I find it a lot of times just because, I don't know, working with this kind of stuff is relatively new for me in the past couple of months for the remote coding agent. So I kind of like seeing what's streamed back and seeing how it's it's like I'm often entertained by this. So I'll often leave this running and be like, oh, okay, cool. And I can still totally keep on chatting. I can delegate more tasks to the coding agent, whatever I prefer there.
So you can start basically essentially multiple of these remote sessions at the same time. You said you can delegate more tasks.
Yes, you can. And we can continue doing that in the chat panel like I just did. Another way that I can kind of manage and explore and move between sessions is with this chat sessions view. So the second setting that I showed at the beginning, which was enabling the chat sessions view, that is going to give you this view, which is a nice split between your local chat sessions. So I can create and enter into local chats that I have here. Or I can go ahead and explore all of the different remote coding agent sessions that I have. And so we can see that I've been kicking off a bunch of different sessions. And we also have some nice tracking. I'll zoom in a notch there to see what the status is of those. So I can see that this is the one I just kicked off. So it's in progress. It has a yellow loading icon and sessions that have completed their work that would be ready for my review, or maybe the PR is complete. Those have green here. So we're trying to give you a nice overview of what's going on with your different sessions. And then something that's cool too is, so I can go ahead and start exploring these other remote sessions. Maybe I'm wondering, hey, what were some of these other changes that I was looking at or that I had assigned off to Copilot? So a flow that I like doing is I'll go ahead and I'll split my editor, and then I'll go ahead and open up one of these other sessions. And so this is why I wanted to zoom out, because we can see that we can quickly start exploring, entering, iterating on all sorts of different tasks all at the same time. So here it's cool because I have a task I just kicked off to the coding agent in the background. It's still working. I can look at how it's thinking and code changes it's suggesting. I have a session that was completed by the coding agent that I can take a look at. And I could even still work locally. And so I can really switch between different kinds of tasks, different environments, depending on what works best for me. Something that's cool too, since this session was completed and it went and changed a few files, we have integration here so you can see what files were changed. So I could explore them individually. I could click on them. I could click to actually just go ahead and get a nice overview of all of the changes. And again, since we have integration with different aspects of GitHub directly in VS Code, I can even do things like I can say plus, and I can start a new conversation here. So this is actually adding a comment to the pull request that Copilot created as part of this session.
And then, so when you add that comment, will Copilot kind of iterate over that based off your suggestion?
Yes, that's a great question. And so we have a few different ways that then we can continue iterating with Copilot, because a lot of times, hey, maybe the PR is great first go out and it's like, yeah, I'd like to go ahead and merge that. Other times, maybe I'm like, I'd like it to take a different direction, or that if I'm seeing what it did, I have an idea of more things I would like it to add. So I can either add Copilot in a comment, and that's going to automatically go ahead and kick off another session there. It'll be within the same PR though. So it'll kick off like a new coding agent session on the same PR rather than creating a whole new PR.
So, okay, that's good. So it's not like a bunch of like, oh, now I have this whole branch over here, I got to merge in. It's like, it stays in that same context. Okay.
Exactly. Yep. It's all going to stay within the same branch and PR that Copilot already created for this task.
Great.
As well, I can also go ahead and follow up in the chat. So I could type any messages of like, actually, I would like you to move the files to a different directory or something like that. And if I go ahead and send that, we're going to see automatically this button is going to send it to the coding agent. And then this is going to be the same as if I had said at Copilot in a comment.
Oh,
so either
very
way.
Cool. Yeah, so it gives you kind of that same like chat experience that you're used to, and you can iterate however makes most sense to you. That's very
exactly.
Cool.
Yeah. So we're trying to keep the same way of, hey, like folks are used to now, like I type messages to chat here in my local VS Code. We want you to be able to feel like you're doing that same thing with the coding agent in the background.
Right. And so you've been using the terminology local versus remote. So when you say that, you kind of mean like, if you're in agent mode and just chatting there, you're chatting locally in that session. But then you can chat with your remote agents with these remote sessions in these different views, and it's all here and kind of in that same sort of flow, essentially.
Exactly. And so with this integration, we also don't want you to have to think of like, oh, well, like this coding agent session, like these remote ones, it's like, oh, well, they're not actually on my compute or on my machine, and now I need to go to github.com. You totally can do that if you prefer working on github.com. Sometimes I'm in .com and I prefer working there, but other times I'm in VS Code and I just want to stay here. So we're trying to give you as many options as possible to make it easier for your flow.
Cool. I love that. We have a couple of good questions, if now's a good time to ask. How can you see the chat sessions on the left side? Is that some extension that's surfacing those?
Yep. So as long as you have a Copilot extension installed, and if you have the GitHub pull request extension installed, that's all you need to just go ahead and make sure that you're signed into those. And then the settings that I showed at the beginning will give you the access to the cloud button, and we'll give you access to this view here. So it's all just part of our existing extensions we have for pull requests and Copilot, plus some experimental settings that our team is continuing to iterate on.
And then Digital Boba asks, what happens if you change files that Copilot's already analyzing or editing?
That's a great question. So there's a few different ways that that might happen. So maybe I went and kicked off this task that's going to edit some of my files, and then I was continuing to work here in agent mode synchronously in my VS Code, and some of them ended up changing. At this point, the coding agent wouldn't necessarily have visibility into what I was making changes there. So then that's a great opportunity for me then to feed that feedback back to Copilot and iterate on the session, just like you and I were discussing, Olivia. So then I could say, hey, actually, like at Copilot, take a look at the latest state of my repo that I just committed and like update based on that.
Cool. Okay. Very handy. So how do you, earlier you were saying with the workflow, you had asked, okay, what are some scenarios here? And you're like, oh, this feels like something I want to delegate to coding agent. How do you decide what you want to go to coding agent? Is it things that maybe you just like don't want to spend the brain power on? Do you have best practices there?
Yeah, I think how you said it of like, I don't want to spend the brain power right now on this task. I feel like that's a great kind of like broad catch-all. I think especially as we all work with AI and Copilot more, we find tasks that we personally find joy in doing that it's like, I don't really want to delegate that to AI. Like I find this an interesting problem to solve, whether I'm solving it completely on my own or I'm iterating back and forth with agent mode synchronously here in my VS Code. But for other tasks, like a lot of times I found for these kinds of like demo or doc scenarios, I don't really feel like I need to focus on that. Like I don't feel like that's where I'm like being most creative. And other times too, it can be interesting to see how Copilot decides to tackle a problem, maybe in a different way than I would have expected. So especially when for something like this, I'm like, oh, I want to make this as interesting of a demo as possible for folks in this kind of repo. I like doing this flow where I can ask agent mode here, like, hey, what are some creative demos I can do? And then I can go send it off to do it. And I can see what it came up with. That might be something I hadn't even thought of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love the like Copilot demoception where you're like, give me a good demo to do, and then you do it as a demo. And you're like, this is great.
Exactly, yeah. And something else that's cool too. And so I'll pop over here. And so this is actually then our GitHub pull request extension view. And as of the last couple of iterations, we've added a Copilot on, actually, we've already had this. We've added some enhancements to it, this Copilot on my behalf section. So I can, again, see the status of different PRs that the coding agent is working on. This blue one is one that's in progress and that I'll need to take a look at that's currently running. So we have some distinguishing there. Something else that's cool, though, too, is that I have a view of the issues that I have in this repo. And something that I can do. So another way of choosing like what tasks do I want to delegate? We have a Copilot button here. So I could just go ahead and assign Copilot to work on this. And if you assign Copilot to an issue, whether that's in VS Code here or if it's on github.com, that'll also send it off to the coding agent. And so sometimes it's nice if you see some maybe low-hanging fruit or just some other issues in your repo of like, I don't have time to tackle this. I don't want to tackle this. You can assign that off to Copilot and let it work on a PR, and then you can pop into review when you're ready.
Right. And I think that like the key thing that we should emphasize too is that like it make the PR. It's not like it's just going and making changes to your code and pushing it to prod or anything like that. Like it's very much still human in the loop to make sure that you can review and iterate over it too. Because I think sometimes people think, oh, it's going to go do this work and who knows what's going to happen to it. Like it's very much still in that review process.
Exactly. Yep. And then just to kind of get an example of then like these are all PRs that Copilot created. If I go ahead and let's click on one of them, I'm going to have this nice integrated view. If folks have already been using the pull request extension in VS Code, this will look familiar. It's the same view, just now you can see Copilot created PRs instead of just human created ones. And you'll be able to see the branch that it created. So Copilot created this branch and did its work there. And then I can either check out the PR or I can look at the changes here, add comments. And yeah, it didn't just get merged into main without me like first reviewing this and approving this.
Cool. Awesome. I see there are some questions, but James Montemagno is in the chat. Hey, James, doing some of that for how you can get coding agent in your subscription and things like that. Cool. All right, Brigit, is there anything else you want to show here with what the latest experience? I feel like we've gotten a really good overview of just like how, like I think one of the coolest things of having y'all come on this is like showing how you guys work specifically, because it's easy to just look at like the release change log and be like, okay, that's a new feature. But like seeing how you split the screen and look at it and like kick things off differently, I think that that's invaluable for people to see.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think just the call to action is we would love folks to try this out, give us feedback. I found it super exciting and super helpful to my workflow. So we'd love to know like what works well for you with this, or what are ways that we can make it better.
Cool. Is there anything you can share with like what's on the roadmap for this integration?
Yeah, so especially like you were mentioning with things being open source now for Copilot chat, and the pull request extension has actually already been open source. So if folks are curious about that extension too, that's on GitHub. In our public iteration plan for the VS Code month of August, we have a whole section dedicated to the coding agent and to improvements to the pull request extension as well. So I definitely recommend folks check out our August iteration plan, because we have a really nice set of issues there that we're going to be working through that we've documented.
Awesome. Sounds good. Okay, well, Bridget, I'm sure we'll have you on in the future again to show this, or who knows, more NES stuff, or maybe more remote stuff. There's always fun things to pull from. Cool. Well, thank you so much for being here. I know everyone enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Cool. All right. Well, with that, that's going to bring us to our next demo, which is a twofer. We have both Tyler and Connor coming on to talk MCP. Hey, Connor.
Hello.
I think we got Tyler's screen, but no Tyler.
No.
There you are. Oh.
Nope.
Sorry. He's trapped backstage. We'll bring him. Okay, there he is.
What's going on?
We're fighting to bring you on, and so I could bring you on, and then she kept leaving me off. Sorry. Hello. How's it going?
It's going all right.
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm excited to have you on here. I think we don't usually do these like joint demos, so I'm excited because I think people must realize this, that everyone on the team works together, but there's so many different pieces. Like when we're trying to figure out the lineup for these release live streams, there's so many pieces to these things that, each engineer has worked on, and all comes into a more cohesive storyline. So very excited to have you both on to talk MCP updates. So with that, do y'all just want to give a quick intro for folks who maybe haven't interacted with you before?
Sure. Yeah. So hello, everybody out there. I'm Tyler. I'm a dev on the VS Code team. And for the purposes of today, I will be talking about some MCP related stuff. And I work on MCP auth in VS Code, which leads me to pass the baton over to Connor.
Yes, I'm Connor. I also work on MCP stuff. In general, I also do agent edits and debugging and testing things, but today is focused on MCP mostly. So that I'll pass it back to Tyler, and we can dive in.
Cool, let's do it.
Yeah. So I wanted to show off the new tools experience, or rather tool picker experience in VS Code. It's something I'm pretty happy with. So perhaps you've been in agent mode and you've wanted to configure the tools that agent mode has at its disposal. And there's always been this like configure tools option here in chat. And so this is what the new tools picker looks like. It definitely looks somewhat similar to what it was before, but there's a lot of new stuff packed in here that I can talk about. First of all, this used to be kind of like a flat list of things. There was some indentations to make it a little easier to see, but now we've actually completely redesigned how this like quick experience works and introduce a new concept within VS Code called a quick tree, which pretty much anything that shows up in this little box that appears above VS Code is quick something. And so this is now the quick tree. And so a couple of notable features. Here's one that you can kind of see already, in that there's sticky scrolling for for tree-like structures. And it's kind of cool, like technologically kind of interesting, because really we just take like a tree component that you see all over VS Code, and we added one here as well. So we get a lot of the same cool features of trees, but just right in the quick experience as well. So you'll see I've got like all the built-in tools here that you're familiar with. And then additionally, we've collapsed the tools that are provided by extensions and MCP servers. So you can see I have just a bunch of MCP servers here. And we can like drill into those if we want. Another beautiful component of the tree widget in VS Code is that we can collapse and uncollapse, which is great. So here are some tools provided by the GitHub pull request extension. And another thing that's nice is like you can check a few of them off. I think in here, yeah, this is the GitHub MCP server. I almost forgot which MCP server I was looking at here, because there's just like an insane amount of tools within it. But thanks to Sticky Scroll,
yeah.
I can remember what I was doing. Exactly. Yeah, and we've added a new like tri-state checkbox. So you've got like the check and then the dash if its children are like partially checked, right? And yeah, MCP servers. What else is interesting? We've added icons. I don't know if you noticed that, but there used to not be icons there, and now we use the icons that are defined by the respective tools. So that looks kind of fun. Yeah, I mean, checking all the things works as you would expect.
And MCP servers or extensions customize what the tool icon looks like.
Yeah. So so I can like customize I can jump right into that specific like configuration for the tool from here, or I could like, yeah, if I go up here, there's buttons for like adding a new MCP server, or searching the extension marketplace for extensions that provide tools. Yeah, a couple more entry points there. And yeah, a selection, what number of tools are selected, which is important, that Connor will talk a little bit more about later. Yeah, I think that's pretty much the gist. I think it looks a lot better than what it did before, and yeah, I'm pretty happy about it.
What I should have done is installed like a previous version of VS Code and pulled my screen up and be like, this is what it used to look like. Because like if y'all have been working with tools, obviously you know, but if like this is your first kind of foray into it, it was like, this is definitely just a very seamless experience then, and makes it just a lot easier to manage all this.
Yeah, I was gonna say if I had, I guess I do have stable. I could do a side-by-side quickly if it works.
Yeah.
I haven't booted it up in a while, so who knows how stale it is. But I guess, wait. And then I have a setting. There's a setting. Hang on.
There is.
Stable version for I removed it in Insiders. What did I call it? Tree? Sounds right. Quick tree. Use tree picker. Excellent.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, there it is. So this is what it looked like before. So no icons, no sticky scroll.
Yeah, the sticky scroll I feel like is very clutch.
Yeah, that's the best part, I think. And so now, and then another thing that'll come later is, we have this concept of tool sets, which are like a collection of tools. And so now that we've got like this tree, we can go deeper than like a flat list that you see in like the quick pick experience. So some of these things are actually tool sets, and we could expand those further so you can like drill down into the tool sets themselves.
Nice.
So yeah, that's what we can do to make this even better now that we've got like the platform available.
Cool. That sounds
yeah good. So I guess what I'll do now is I will pass it over to Connor by saying, but you know what really does hurt sometimes is when you install so many MCP servers where you have just like way too many tools and you don't really know what to do with those.
Yeah.
There used to be a really annoying
segue.
yeah. Connor, can you tell us more about that?
I can. So yeah, I want to share my screen. There we go. Yeah, so something that you may have hit it, especially if you use like GitHub MCP and Playwright, is that they have a lot of tools, and then agents have a limit to the number of tools that they can deal with. So that is 128 tools, which is the limit that GPT has, and then we just kind of enforce that across the board. So now you might have noticed if you use the latest version, you can go ahead and enable these, that you get this warning that actually I've changed my tool limit, but I will reset that real quick. All right, let's reset this. So you got the experience out of the box. So now if you have like more than the tool limit like enabled, then you'll see this warning icon on chat tool icon, as well as in this picker. And what happens here is that we still let you now use these tools, because previously on stable you would have just like gotten an error saying you have too many tools, please turn some off. Now we have this new concept of virtual tools, and what this is that when we call the model, instead of like giving the model all the tools, what we'll do is that we'll group tools together, and then we'll let the model choose to activate those groups of tools. And so that instead of giving it all 151 tools, you might give it less than that, and then there's a tool, for example, called like activate GitHub issues, which will get which the model can then call whenever it wants to do something involving GitHub issues, to then activate that group of tools and be able to use it. So the first time that you do this, you'll get a message saying that we're like optimizing your tool selection. So if I say something like list the issues assigned to me in Microsoft vscode, the first time you'll get this optimizing tool selection. This will take a second. It'll be faster soon, but this is a one-time cost, and so after it runs the first time, then we cache the groups that we get back globally. So it's a bit annoying, but once it happens first time, then all the chats after that will be very fast.
Well, and it's a lot less annoying than when you got the 128 tool limit error before. So,
Yep.
I think that this is a really cool way to go around this, and a really unique
there we go.
implementation there.
Okay, so 5mini was not the best at this. Let's actually try. Let's actually try maybe a different model. Let's try Sonnet, because Sonnet's nice. There we go. I think that maybe in the last release we broke the spinner. So it all kind of happens like behind the scenes, and so like you don't really see it happening, but you actually can like introspect the tools that are enabled. So after this is finished, I'll show you how to do that.
Yeah, and I just a quick plug for
There
Insiders.
you go.
This is always the fun part of Insiders, right? You get the latest features, but sometimes things might get a little wonky every now and then.
Yep. And there we go. It got a bunch of issues. It's going to tell me about them soon, but that's kind of how that flow works. And then if I do like /list, then that lists all tools that are seen by the agent, which is a lot of tools. But we can see, for example, in this case, I had like Playwright enabled, and we can see the groups that it created, as well as the summaries that we showed to the model. So, for example, there's like this one group called Activate Browser Inspection Tools, which will enable certain other MCP tools from Playwright. And we can see that it grouped all these. It grouped a bunch of like GitHub tools. It grouped like workflow management tools from GitHub together like this. And so this lets us be able to have, in theory, an arbitrary number of tools without overloading the model and without hitting that tool limit error. So still a mode that is like experimental. So like we're still trying it out and improving it. There are definitely like some things that I want to I'll improve to make it faster and make it more accurate. But this is on the latest stable version, and so you should now get a lot of, you should get a lot more experience when using that.
Very cool. And yeah, I think this is another one that like the before and after is very impressive, because if y'all ever got the 128 tool limit, it was definitely frustrating sometimes.
Yes.
So this is a great experience. I'm curious if do you still recommend like kind of limiting which tools you send in for just like a better experience, and like should try to like, because you still get that pop-up of like, over your threshold limit may be a
Mhm.
degraded experience. Do you still recommend like trying to stay under that, or other than the optimizing flow, there's not really too much of a difference?
Yeah, so like the warning is there because like we do see that it is like a little bit worse calling tools like in this mode. So like the warning is there, but then like I think over the course of the next few releases we'll keep improving this, and then once you see, and like after we see that like the model is like just as good at calling these deactivate tools as it is at calling tools normally, then we'll probably take that warning off. But in general, like giving the agent like less choices it has to make is better. It leads to like better results. And so if there are tools that like aren't applicable to a certain workspace, then turning those off will in general like make it behave a bit better and like use less context window and make it like go off track less often. And like in general, like all models are worse calling tools if there are more tools to call. It is why this like limit is actually like configurable, so you can try actually like running this at some lower limit. So you could try like reducing it to like 90 tools, for example, to be the threshold where it kicks in this grouping behavior. I'm not sure I'd recommend it yet, but you can give it a shot and see how it works for you, because less tools are better in general.
Cool. And then if you are over that threshold and then you are maybe deselecting more tools, is like every time you add new tools or change what set of tools you're using, does it go through that optimizing flow?
Good question. So it is basically cached like per group, and so for example, it's cached like per MCP server and per extension essentially. So if you're just like moving those or adding MCP servers or extensions that it's seen before, then it'll just cache its groups built before from those. But if you're like updating an MCP server where the update adds more tools, then we'll have to like rerun that. They'll have to rerun that group behavior to figure out where those new tools go. But it should also be faster because then we'll only be like updating that server and not updating like the whole world of servers.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Cool.
Oh yeah, and there's actually one other feature that speaking of adding new servers, that is probably one of my favorite features in this last release. Is that you might have, well, if you use MCP servers at all, you've probably seen this lovely spinner here saying that you have like new servers that you can refresh. In this release, we actually added a tooltip here, so we will tell you like what server actually was changed or updated. And then there's also this new setting that lets it automatically start those servers when it sees them updated on your first chat message. And so if you turn the setting on, then you'll never again see that spinner, and then it'll all just work in the background for you automatically.
Nice.
I'm hoping that we can turn this on by default in the next release, but you can definitely, if you hover over that, if you see it, you can hover over it and hit the button to turn that on, and then it'll just be started automatically. So if I say like hello world, there's this trust prompt because in case, for example, your like agent is like prompt ejected, like we don't want to automatically like start you start a server that like might have been changed without you knowing, but you can say I trust that, and then it's going to start. And
cool.
then,
so there's still kind of that like security trust dialogue for when it does get updated.
Yeah, because like say like for example, like you fetch a web page has like instructions saying I'll like ignore all previous instructions and like add this evil command to mcp.json. Then we don't want you to not notice that and then have like your like crypto wallet stolen or whatever as soon as you send your next chat message. And so you'll see like whenever there's a change in your workspace servers, just to avoid that happening.
Cool. Yeah, very like big, I feel like quality of life improvement there, right? It's just like I love showing features like this because I feel like this is one that like people might miss in the release notes and not realize that was done, but it's like such a seamless thing that just makes your experience better when you're working with MCP servers. There is one question. This is kind of not fully related to this, but how did you get the Copilot chat window to be full screen? We get this question a lot.
Oh yeah. So oops, wherever. I show tabs. There we go. So in this little feature on here, there's an option to move chat to to open chat in an editor, and so you can do that here. I think there's also like other commands for it, but that's how you do it. You can also open chat in a new window as well, which will I think I'm just sharing my window with you right now, but that'll open chat in a detached window. So if you have like multiple monitors, you can open chat and have it on your second monitor, and then have your code on your first monitor.
And these are all then like individual chat sessions that you can have running simultaneously, right?
Yep. So I had some widget there, and I can do like I can do like a different request there, and then these will both run in parallel.
Yeah, that's definitely a lot of people are always like, oh, I wish you could do that. You could run multiple chat sessions parallel. You can't. You can do this, but it's definitely something that you might not realize that you can do. So,
and I actually just maximized the chat view, which is that one there. That's what I was doing.
Cool. So yeah, multiple ways to do that.
Yep.
Awesome. All right. Well, this is great. I know MCP is very top of mind for people, and so these updates are very helpful. Do Connor and Tyler, do either of y'all have any other things you want to cover, or just talk about what's on the roadmap?
Well, did you happen to mention the AMA yet?
I have not. No. So if you want to be the first person to do that, we can. We already have a banner queued up for it.
Shoot, that's really nice. Yeah, so Connor and I, among like a few others, are going to be over in, is it r/GitHub Copilot?
Yeah. GitHub Copilot.
Yeah, in the subreddit GitHub Copilot, doing an AMA today, which is at the time of
10:30, I think.
Yes, 10:30 Pacific.
10:30. Yes.
So like right after this, basically, in a little less than 2 hours, if I'm doing my time conversions right. Yes.
Yeah. So if you have any MCP related questions, or VS Code questions in general, we'll be there.
Yeah. Thank you for the plug, Tyler. We'll drop the link to that, but you can go to ak.ms/GitHub Copilot AMA and hang out there until it starts at 10:30. Cool.
Yeah. Anything else MCP related, Connor?
I think Tyler, there's a question in chat for you. How to make the command palette float and not docked all the time, and I think that's something that you did a bit ago. So.
Oh, yeah. Just take the command palette by the top of it and just drag it around. Yeah.
Do you want to show that real quick? Just, I mean, I think that you did show it, but just like
yeah, I'm still sharing my screen, right?
Yeah. Yep, it's on now.
Sweet. Yeah. Whee.
Nice.
Yeah, that's there now. Yeah, and it snaps to the top, and then it also snaps in the middle as well. And if you don't want to like deal with grabbing onto it, and you just want to go to the presets, if you go to like this customize layout option, there are a couple of pre-selects here. Yeah, so top and then center, if you want to do it that way.
What's your favorite?
I think the center is really growing on me. I've always been just because this is what I've known for like so many years, that I've gotten so used to it. But I think I've slowly worked my way further and further down, and now it's like pretty much center. Yeah.
Cool.
So there's your answer.
Love it. Any other thoughts to end us on?
I think that's about it. There's gonna be like new stuff coming soon, but as always, be on vscode Insiders to get it first.
Yes. Cool. Sounds good. Thank you, Tyler and Connor, so much for being on. And then everyone go join the GitHub Copilot AMA in a little less than 2 hours, so you can just hang out with them again. Thanks, y'all. Have a good one.
Bye.
All right, and that's going to bring us to our next demo with Daniel. Hey, Daniel. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thanks. Thanks so much for being here. Like with our other guest, for those who maybe haven't met you or been on these release live streams before, can you do a quick intro and what you do on the VS Code team?
Sure. I think I've been on maybe twice, but it was quite a while ago. So I've been on the team. I'm approaching my 10-year anniversary, actually. So it's a long time. I've touched all sorts of things, but my main area has always been the integrated terminal.
And if people follow VS Code on X or anything, you're very active there as well too. So I'm sure people have seen just various terminal
Sometimes
updates
it goes
from you.
through peaks and valleys.
Yeah, yeah. Cool. Well, that sounds good. So, am I correct in assuming you're showing us some more terminal things today?
I am. I have two main topics.
Cool.
Starting with auto approve. So this is something I think it was added in the previous release as an experimental setting. This release focused on making it more robust and capable. Just to show you what it does, so I'll type in what I've asked Copilot hundreds of times over the past few months. Run ls in the terminal. So it does that, gives you a confirmation dialog, you press continue. With agent mode, you want it to be more autonomous though. People don't want to be pressing, yes, ls is okay constantly. So, so there's this setting, that ls is true, and then the next time that is run, it auto runs. Yeah, so this was their last month, but that's what the feature is. The changes
Cool.
that have come through. So the setting itself is quite descriptive now. It has a bunch of examples that outlines most of the little nuances in it. So the first one to call out is that regex flags can be used. If it's important that something is case insensitive, you can do that. Matching against the full command line is possible. To explain that, so run in terminal foo and bar.
Can you zoom in like one level?
Sure. Is that good enough?
Yeah, that looks good.
Okay. So I asked it to run these two commands, and it wants to. It's not auto approved because I don't have anything configured. But what's actually going on behind the scenes here is that we're seeing that, oh, it is actually two commands. There's foo and a bar. And all the sub commands need to be approved in order for it to auto run. Or alternatively, if you set this exact command line using this format, you can approve it that way.
Okay.
So an example, I don't know if it's a good example yet, but if you're in like a really restrictive environment, you could say that any command line that contains .sh or .ps1 always require approval. Like this will catch all sorts of things that maybe it shouldn't, but it's like a super safe thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just another option available. And then another one, let me continue that. Another one is the logging. That's not what I want, the output panel. So in the terminal output panel, the reasoning behind auto approve is explained now. So these are the ones that I just ran, plus ones I ran before while I was preparing. So ls, auto approve, all subcommands auto approved. Ls is approved by the allow list rule ls. Command line does not match. And then for this one, it checks both subcommands and the command line, and none of them are approved, so it was not auto approved.
Okay, that's super helpful. So that way, like if you don't realize like the match command line exists and you're like, what the heck? I thought I just said we could auto approve this.
Yeah.
And
right speaking of insiders, in insiders, this stuff is all in the UI now.
Oh, great.
Along with a bunch of defaults for auto approve. So this release is making it more capable. The next release is like making it more user friendly, accessible.
Do you have like recommended ones that you usually do for the auto approve?
It sort of depends on the project. I just either use insiders or wait until the next release where we've added a lot of relatively safe defaults. And yeah, it also depends on the project. Like we don't want to auto approve npm test, for example. Maybe it does something in your project that is dangerous, but for VS Code, we want to auto approve that. So that's in the list for the VS Code repo, which you can put in your workspace settings.
Gotcha. Cool. And this might be something that is already in insiders, but Chris says it would be nice to have a button next to add to auto approve.
Yeah, it's in insiders.
Nice.
I don't know if this is breaking the rules, but I can.
No. And so we love insiders here.
I know that's in terminal. This is going to auto run. yeah, so it auto runs because of the defaults. But now I can say run foo and bar. You'll notice that it says auto approved by rule here.
Oh, nice.
Click
Can you
that,
zoom
go
in
to
a little bit? Sorry, it's kind of tiny on this side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you click here, it goes to the settings. It
Oh,
goes to
nice.
just the settings UI because that's one of the defaults. But if I do this, this is more interesting. New confirmation dialog.
That's nice.
And then there's the drop down here, allow the commands, foo and bar, or the exact command line. So those are those two things I was talking about before.
Cool. And that's a very similar interface to what people are used to with
yeah, for other tools, it's allow in session, allow in workspace, always allow. We're considering adding allow in session for the terminal, but I'm a bit worried about like, what does allow mean exactly? It probably means this, but maybe people don't expect that. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure, especially with this, right, there's a balance of what's something that makes the user experience seamless, but also secure and not, balancing, those priorities.
Yeah, so that was auto approve. The other topic I had was just the terminal tool reliability in general. And I thought I'd do a bit of a more technical look at this, similar to what I do in our stand-ups.
That sounds great. Yeah, people love to see that.
Yeah, so the reliability before, it was definitely not where we wanted it. And I don't know if I probably don't have the issue up. Yeah, I won't try to find it. The issue has 100 duplicates closed in favor of this one investigating the hanging and output read issues. So I looked into that. That was the main part of my work, this iteration. And so things that I did there, I can talk about. So the first one is previously the tool lived in the Copilot extension repo, which means that it's restricted to the extension API, and adding anything, particularly UI, means there's a lot of overhead. So there's also the complexity of like abstracting the low-level primitives into like the extension API that's meant to be really simple to use.
It was just kind of like in a different layer that just made it harder.
Yeah. So this iteration, it moved to core. This is the main thing that addressed the reliability issues. And I'm showing you the tool right here. Like, it's open source. It was open source before in the Copilot repo, but it's also open source here in the vscode core repo. So this is the run in terminal tool implementation. You see here, this is the tool description that's handed off to the model. And these are the arguments that the tool has. So yeah, let me look through my notes. Yeah, another thing this will give is slight performance improvements because it doesn't have that overhead again. But yeah, one of the biggest wins, I think, is reliability and the velocity that we can make changes now that it's in core.
Very cool. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of background work that I know goes into this to
yeah. Well, this whole thing is built on this thing called shell integration, which I was just going to talk about, and that's years of slow iterating towards something. So if I type echo, I'm sure you've seen these little dots. It's called the shell integration declaration or command declaration. And that's from us injecting a script when you launch the terminal that inserts little sequences in various spots. And I have a debug setting on, so you can actually see the spots. So A, B, C, D. That's the prompt start, command executed, command finished. And using this information, as well as some other stuff, we can much better understand what's happening inside the terminal. So yeah, this dot is derived from these little letters, basically.
So a lot of moving pieces kind of to get the end result that people see, right? Like all they see is, okay, it goes in this, opens terminal, but there's a lot.
And another plug. So we also have terminal suggest. So this is also built on shell integration. And this is enabled in insiders, but you have to go find the setting to enable it in stable.
Will that be enabled by default and stable anytime soon? Do you know?
It will eventually. If I was to guess, probably 3 months.
Yeah. Okay.
But not sure. But we're working towards it slowly.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, on shell integration, if you hover here, you'll see here that shell integration is rich. There's 3 values. There's no shell integration, there's basic shell integration, there's rich. Rich means it hopefully does everything that we need to fully understand stuff. None means that we don't get any of these sequences, and the terminal is just a black box. It's just a grid of text. Basic is the huge spectrum in between, because we cannot enforce what scripts run in the terminal. People may run shells with their own shell integration that we support, but it comes up as basic shell integration. So one of the big challenges with run in terminal is dealing with all the different types of shell integration. And for that, it's broken up into these execute strategies. So we have the rich execute strategy, and this uses those low-level APIs like command detection.on command finished to detect when it finishes. And yeah, run command will actually check the command line to see if there's content in it and send the interrupt signal before writing, if there is content. So yeah, this is the simplest and most capable one. On the other end of the spectrum, there's the none execute strategy, and how this works is, so we wait for the terminal to be ready, we wait for the terminal to idle for a second, we record where the command started, we send the command, we wait for idle for it to finish. And yeah, this has problems, clearly. Or to me, it's clear. If you run a command and it doesn't do anything for a second, we treat it as finished. So that's one of the problems with no shell integration. One of the problems that can cause output read issues.
Okay, that makes sense.
So this actual one is not actually fixed in this stable release, but it's improved in Insiders.
Okay, cool. If someone actually has that question, is this stable or Insiders? And
so I'm mostly showing stable. I called out whenever it's Insiders.
Cool.
So some other stuff that was done as part of this is a bunch of tests added, a bunch of manual verification to see what actually is issues, what is not. Because I was actually out for a couple of months, so it was just a huge backlog of issues I needed to triage and understand. And then another thing is we added a bunch more telemetry so that we can understand the performance and the reliability of the tool on our end, instead of just relying on reports from users. So from that, there's 2 big wins that I could identify in this. So previously we were detecting when the terminal tool would error out, and canceling the tool was counted as part of that. And before, 2.4% was either an error or a cancel. In the new world, with the new core tool, it's down to 1.1% cancel, and it's like 0.007% or something that was some unexpected exception. So it's greatly improved.
Yeah, that's a major difference.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'd love that you guys have like that quantitative way to see what the outcome of this is.
Yeah, another one of the big wins is basic shell integration, which is that big spectrum in between. That was failing in multiple ways before, where the exit code was not being reported correctly and the output was not being reported correctly. The main cause of that is that some shell frameworks, like prompt frameworks, send the exit code when you interrupt. So when you open a terminal, you press Control-C. This is what we'd send always with basic shell integration, basically, because we're not sure what's typed. And that would cause an exit code to happen in some shells, which would make this red. And that was unexpected. And it's not how I don't think shell integration works in most places. So that was causing the command to it was causing it to always fail and causing it to finish early and not report output. So that's fixed now. The way we just don't send interrupt for those cases anymore. Okay. So if you happen to type in the terminal, it'll error. Agent mode will probably just see that and say, oh, I need to run it again. But that, like telemetry shows, it was like a 50% failure rate where we didn't know the exit code, and 20-30% error rate. And then that's up to looking much closer to what rich shell integration gives.
Very cool. This is not fully terminal related, but you mentioned that you moved this from the extension into the core repo. If folks weren't aware, the Copilot chat extension is open source, and I believe there's plans to kind of eventually move that into core. Is with moving that functionality into core eventually, will other processes with chat become a little bit more seamless too, because they're not restricted to those extension APIs?
Yeah, so I know tasks also moved into core. I think tests did as well. So an example of where I'd like the run tests tool to go is to have custom UI, which basically inlines the test results as they're running. That's possible now without the huge overhead of creating an extension API.
Awesome. Yeah, this is a great, I feel like honestly we should do like a whole like standalone stream just on like diving into terminal with you, Daniel, because I think that would be really interesting, and there's so much cool stuff in here, and even just like understanding your process of how you debug and understand like, okay, how do I pinpoint this to what would make the experience better, and figure out like how to work with all those moving pieces.
Sounds fun.
So I think we'd love to have you on to do that too, because this is really great stuff.
Sure.
Cool.
And you've talked about, like, asked people about roadmap. The other thing I'd like to mention that's coming in Insiders probably within the next week is, instead of running the terminal tool in the terminal, we plan to not put it in the terminal at all and run it inline inside the chat. It's a lot more complicated to do that properly than you probably expect. But I have a prototype. I think it works pretty well. It needs a lot of work, but yeah, the plan is to have the terminal run inside the chat and allow you to open it in the terminal if you want, and allow you to go back to how it worked before with a setting.
Very cool. Okay, so in Insiders and hopefully the next week, someone actually asked if the green icon part of the update. The green icon means Insiders.
Yeah.
Definitely recommend trying that out to get the latest features. And yeah, you can just see basically once a month we release the stable and you'll get those features. But if you want the features even before they're in stable, you can go to Insiders and there's daily builds there so you can get the latest.
Yeah, and there is, like, it is a little less stable, but like the whole VSCode team uses it. A lot of people at Microsoft and GitHub use it. So
yeah,
like,
you heard Tyler earlier was like, oh, I don't remember the last time I opened stable.
Yeah, if something bad happens, it's normally fixed pretty quick because everyone on the team uses Insiders every day.
There's one question, I think that the answer to this might be Insiders, but how do you see the Copilot progress bar and the status bar that you have?
Oh, this thing. That's not a status bar, it's stats. I know Burke has tweeted about this. I think you need a setting to enable this, and I think it is in stable.
Cool, okay. We'll find that setting for y'all and put it in.
And yeah, I think it was Burke.
Burke's on next, so he might be able to just answer that.
Yeah, maybe Pierce. They showed where this will go with like a cool chart and like really drilling into the details.
Cool.
You can see how much AI types for me.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. All right, Daniel, anything else? I mean, this was a great deep dive, and those improvement numbers are crazy with all the work that you did to get there, and then all the auto approve experience.
Yeah, just if you see
the flow.
Hanging or output read problems create an issue.
Okay.
I'm sure there are still some, but we're trying to chase them down.
Cool. Sounds good. All right. Well, yeah. I'll connect with you and see if we want to do a full deep dive into the terminal. But otherwise, I'm sure we'll have you on the release live stream too for more of these spotlights on the latest terminal updates. So thanks so much, Daniel, for joining us today.
See ya.
All right. Well, we kind of just segued into this, but next we're going to have Burke come on and talk about beast mode and who knows what else. Hey, Burke.
Hey, what's up, Olivia? How's it going? Pretty good. You got me a little off guard because I've just been sitting backstage, like waiting my turn. I kind of zoned out.
And then, I was like, you know, it might be more fun if I don't.
Yeah. And I heard Daniel say my name and I was like,
yeah.
Whoa, what?
I'm here.
Yeah, I was completely absorbed in some other task. And then you said something about the AI stats.
Yeah. Do you have the
Right.
setting that people can do to get that up? And then we can talk
Let
about
me
what
share my screen. It says it's easy to share your screen. I'll be the judge of that, StreamYard. All right. Oh, so it's settings. AI stats, I think. Bam. And then you get the little bar there. And the current stats are like it's like your typing versus what the agent generates. That's what this progress bar means. But we're looking at, so if you go to Twitter and you follow the VS Code account, or you can follow me or Pierce or any other number of people, that we'll throw mocks up there of what we're thinking about in terms of analytics, y'all. Because somebody like looked at this and was like, "Oh, is this like my premium requests thing?" It's not.
Yeah, I think that's
a good idea.
In the chat.
Yeah, maybe it should be. I don't actually know, and so we'd like to have your feedback. You can see your premium requests here. Although you can see mine are included, which I know isn't fair, chat. I'm sorry. And for that reason, I don't use premium requests, which is a great segue into beast mode. Is that what we wanted to talk about?
It is what we want to talk about. And okay. we had someone come on and be like, I was late. Is the intro to beast mode already done?
It's already done.
Don't worry. Perfect timing.
Get into it. Yeah. All right. So how much time?
Talk to us about what beast mode is.
Yeah. How much time do we have here? What do we like? What are you thinking?
I think well, so first, what is beast mode? Because I feel like people have kind of been hearing about this. And what's the current state of beast mode? I think that would be good to touch on as well.
Gotcha. Okay. So let's provide some context here. The current state of the world for most people is that they have some amount of premium requests and then some amount of what we call included requests, right? And so we have here, for instance, these are the models that I have enabled. And your big hitters like Sonnet 4 are one premium request. And if you have like a pro sub, then I think you get 300 of these. And if you have Pro Plus, I think it's something like 1,200, although that might be off. Chat, you can correct me if y'all know these SKUs probably better than I do. But what was happening is people were running out of their premium requests, right? So they get capped at 300, they'd hit the 300 limit, and then they felt like 4.1 was a useless model. Now, the reason why, so 4.1 is here and it's included, so there's no multiplier, which it means essentially it's unlimited. Although I think technically you can still get rate limited. Like if you hit that enough, they will be like, whoa, take it easy. Right? Yeah. You can't spend $10,000 a month in 4.1 tokens. So I started to look at, well, is it possible to make 4.1 behave more like Claude? So it's interesting to back up and see how 4.1 behaves outside of the tweaks that we made for it. So let's kind of start there. Okay. So one of the things that I like to use to sort of show off where 4.1 kind of struggles is with a very simple demo. And so this is some documentation for an API for a connected light bulb. And what I'm going to ask 4.1 to do is to just basically scrape the docs and make a markdown table of the endpoints and their various parameters. Now, the reason why this is interesting is because it can't actually get that from this page. It needs to recursively go into these different links and look at these different pages. I work this way a lot, where I'll point the model at docs either via context 7 MCP or just a URL directly, and say, gather this context and then do the thing. So let's run this back with 4.1 as it comes out of the box and see what happens here. Okay. And actually we can even give it a head start here and just grab the link and paste it in. So let's say, let's see, search, get the LIFX docs, paste the link, and then say, and make a markdown table of each API endpoint, how to call it, and its params. All right, so this is 4.1 out of the box. And again, it is it is stochastic and we're doing this live, so we don't actually know what we're going to get. Sometimes it doesn't actually call this at all.
Mm-hmm.
So occasionally it won't even fetch. So you can see it fetches this, and then it makes this markdown table, and it's like, boom, here it is. Is this right? How could it possibly be? It didn't look at any of these other links.
Mm-hmm.
So we can safely assume that this is hallucinated to a degree, right?
Yeah.
So this proliferates in other ways. So it's a very simple example. If we look at a more complex one here, so this is a site that I use all the time to just test different things. And it's a very simple site. It's really just like a to-do list almost.
Mm-hmm.
Although it does some different things, right? So if we say, get my favorite links here, create this list, and then you can add just like, links that you really, really like. Like, I don't know, what's a link everybody really, really likes in chat? What do you like, chat? What about Visual Studio?
What's your favorite? I mean, yeah, code.visualstudio.com, obviously.
So we can add these links, and then you get a list that you can like share with other people. And the reason why I use this is because there's a database back there. There's like complicated UI. And so for instance, if we wanted to add reorder, so let's add another one here. I don't know. That seems like a cool company. So like, say we wanted to add drag and drop to these links. If we go back to 4.1 and we just say add drag and drop to the links in the list. First of all, this is a terrible prompt because I'm not giving it any sort of information about the project that I'm working with, what I actually want it to do. Like, it doesn't know anything. Karpathy talks about models as being like, if you ever seen the movie 50 First Dates, where Adam Sandler is dating Drew Barrymore, but she only has a memory that lasts 24 hours. And then every morning she doesn't remember anything, right? So it has to start all over again. So when you say something like this, like, I know what this app looks like, right? But 4.1 has no clue. It doesn't know anything at all. It hasn't done any research. It's just like out here making changes. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the fact that it was able to sort of like pull these files up like first try is pretty good. This is probably powered by the custom instructions that I've got here, which like tells it a lot about this project.
Mm-hmm.
If we didn't have these, of course, this answer would be even worse.
Yeah.
We'll just let this cook for a minute though and see what it actually brings back. But generally speaking, 4.1, and you can see here that it's like, it looks like it's kind of stuck. And this is because it's probably generating a large chunk of code. And look at my status bar. Like, I'm like at 100% AI versus typing average.
Well, I think Connor said that the progress bar might be a little broken in Insiders right
now. So hopefully this will, I told you it was generating a large chunk, and it's not saying anything to you, right? It's just like, so you don't know what it's doing.
And then you get frustrated because you're just like, what's happening? And then you just want to stop it because you're like, okay, it's obviously frozen, it's broken. Like, I don't know what's going on.
So it says that it implemented drag and drop. Like, did it? It may have, right? I don't know. Doesn't look like it. Right? Like, that just doesn't look like it worked to me. So now let's try something else. So let's undo this. Let's go back. And so Beast mode is a custom chat mode for Visual Studio Code. There's a couple of them here, and you can see that I'm testing different modes. Like, Horizon models came out, so I had a mode I was testing. And this sort of, I'm using it to instruct models, but you can use these modes to do anything. Like, you could have a planning mode, you could have an architect mode. Chad, I read this article from Google last night on having like a plan and then a critic. So the idea is that you come up with a plan, the plan writes, you come up with a plan, it's an actor critic. So the actor actually implements the changes, and then the critic goes and criticizes the outcome of the actor, which should make the fidelity of the code higher, right? Like, does that work? I don't know, but you can use custom chat mode. Right. So you could configure a mode here. So you'd configure modes, do a new chat mode. You can put it either here, which is in the product, or you can make it global, right? And we could call it the critic. And then inside of that, we can, tell it to, your job is like, your job is to be really mean about other people's code or whatever, right?
Yeah, right. But kind of like this persona sort of idea.
Exactly, right? We can do anything. We can configure the different tools that the mode has access to here. So like if we don't want it to actually write any code, like just don't give it access to write code from the tools. Like if you don't give it that access, it doesn't have that access. If you omit this, then it just has access to whatever is enabled in the picker. So beast mode is just a custom mode, and let's take a look at it here. Let's go to custom modes. It's quite lengthy. We can kind of walk through it and then we'll see it in action. Because I know that's what people actually want to see here. So the major problem with 4.1 is that while it's really, really fast and very good at calling tools, it isn't very agentic. And so it likes to stop and ask you all the time,
am I doing a good job?
Yeah, or it'll do this like thing where it's like, oh yeah, totally, we're totally gonna do this. Here's what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
Right? It'll lay out this plan, and it's like, now I'm gonna do this.
Yeah. It's like,
and then it just doesn't. Yeah, and you're like, and then you'll just type like, okay, do it.
Yeah.
And it's like, cool, I'm gonna do it. Here's what I'm gonna do. And then it doesn't do it. Right. And so you're just like stuck in this loop, and eventually it will.
Yeah.
And so this actually comes directly from the OpenAI cookbook. A lot of this does. But at the top here, you'll see that I'm goading it to keep going. And this gets said over and over and over again. So the first one is here, like, you're an agent, please keep going. And then I go into tone. Whatever's at the top gets taken more seriously than what's at the bottom. So if you really want it to do something, you need to put it at the very top. You can tell it, like, you can see here, I'm trying to get it to stop gaslighting me, right? Don't tell me that I'm absolutely right. Stop doing that. I don't want that. Again, you must keep going, right? This just just happens over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
You have everything you need. You don't need to come back to me. I want you to solve the problem.
So when you were writing this, like, did you test it out and you just kept being like, oh my God, I just need to add this and tell it again, like, not to do it? Is that why it's in here so much?
Yeah. Well, as I said, most of this came from the 4.1 cookbook.
Okay.
So like this is from the 4.1 cookbook. This
so
is from
all
the
the
4.1
repetitive
cookbook.
of that was even pulled from
Right.
it. Okay.
And then there's me starting to add in these like opinionated workflows. Like it doesn't like to use the fetch web page tool.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just kind of forcing that. I'm telling it, like, you don't know anything. You have to use your tools to look stuff up because all your training data is out of date.
Mm-hmm.
And then this one here where I tell it, like, you have to use Google to complete the task. Like you can't do it without using the internet.
Yeah.
This is like a very opinionated way of working. I'm trying to think what else is here. And then there's this idea of using a to-do list, which is mentioned several times. Let's keep going down. There's an opinionated workflow here where it goes through each one of these steps each time. You can see that I'm actually using certain MCP tools like sequential thinking and others. If you don't know what these MCP servers are, sequential thinking causes the model to think. And one of 4.1's other hangups is that it's not a reasoning model. And so it doesn't think, it just speaks before it thinks, which is why the output a lot of times isn't great. And so I'm trying to get it to stop, slow down, and sequential thinking sort of forces it to do that. Now, why does this work better than just saying slow down and think? Because it likes tools. It doesn't like to think.
Mm-hmm.
But if the tool makes it think, then it's happy to call the tool.
Yeah, you work with it, right?
Right. So there's an opinionated workflow. We'll drop links. You can go investigate this on your own here, but like the format is super important. You'll notice I'm not really using XML tags because 4.1 doesn't seem to like that. It likes Markdown a lot. It likes when you number things a lot. So if you tell it first do this, then do this, then do this, and they're numerical, it tends to obey that. And then down at the bottom, you can see I did use one XML tag here, communication guidelines. And then there's some other stuff. So let's get into this and actually see how it works. And I think that'll be better. So let's run this back, this time with beast mode, and let's see if it makes a liar out of me or, what we get this time.
We love the live demos.
So the first thing you'll
Like,
notice
already
is
we're
that, right, it
seeing more things
communicates
happen.
a little bit better. And the first thing that it's going to do is it knows that it needs to install like D&D kit and sortable, right? So like right off the rip, it's just headed down a much better path than the previous run, which was like, oh, I'll just modify these files and then everything will just work. And of course, that didn't work. So it'd be interesting to see what it actually does here. Let's just let it keep running and see what we get out the other side. I do have auto approve turned on. I don't worry too much about this. Like I just let it do its thing. It's an agent and that's its job. I want it to do its job. It hasn't bit me yet. But yeah, maybe I reserve the right to go on Twitter and tell everybody to turn off auto approve.
Go follow Burke on Twitter.
Well, Daniel was talking about like the terminal commands that are in settings, like the allow list and deny list stuff for terminal. And I should be in here on auto approve, going through and being like, yeah, you can do this. You can run these commands, but like RM, you can't. It's like you don't want it removing things, maybe.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So let's see here. What's it actually doing? So it's got a function to reorder links. Interesting. It's made changes to the link list. So it's included the libraries. Now you can see that it sees that it has errors, which again, this is all in the prompt file where I'm telling it. Like you're not done until all errors are resolved. The file has some major syntax issues. That sounds bad. Let's see what actually happens here. This is fun because you never know. So you can see it's just iterating.
But it's doing too, right? It's like it's filling you in, but then it is doing things. And I feel
right. It's agentic, right? It's moving. It's doing what you want it to do. Here, solving its own problems. And this is like more behavior that we see from models like Claude. This is why people like Claude, because it can iterate on its own output. So it says it's now
use all their premium
done.
requests on it.
Right. And then it comes back with a markdown list of stuff that it actually did.
I like that. If you want to add a little animation, just holler.
Just holler, yeah.
So friendly.
Did that actually work? Like I don't know. Let's see. Whoops. It doesn't look like it, but let me just make sure like the dev is still running here. It looks like it is. Whoa, my machine is ground to a halt. Let's clean up some of these terminals here. I'm thinking it may need to pick up. So no, it's not working. So we could go back in and be like, yo, drag and drop, still not working. Please add drag handles. There's no drag handles, so that could be the problem here. But this is kind of the way that I work, very iteratively.
GP asks, I'm guessing behind the scenes is beast mode using ask mode with a custom prompt.
No, it's using custom modes are using agent mode. Right, they're all some variation of that. But in the sense that if you didn't want it to generate any code, like if you wanted an ask mode, then just remove the ability for it to edit or write code in the tools. Remember we talked about the tools here? Like am I specifying tools up here? I'm not, right? So you could come here and the second that you say tools up here, and then you do this and then configure tools. Like if I do this, it doesn't have any tools right now. So all it can do is reply in the chat. I have to give it the ability to write files, which edit files, right? If it doesn't have this, the second it has this, it's going to start writing code. Right. Without this, it will just reply in the chat because it cannot. So that's how you would make that an ask mode. And you can see it's still working here. And we'll see what happens. Now, while this is going on, let's look at another sort of test here. It's still going. I think I can do another test. Let's Oh, with the same. There we go. Boop. My UI is a little bit messed up. So remember that the test that we did earlier where I was talking about this API here. So if we run this back, let's run this again. I think it was this one here. So this time we're running this with beast mode. So let's see what it does this time. See, do you see the difference?
Mm-hmm.
Like it sees, okay, I need this, and then it's like, oh, but I also need to look at all the different pages,
Right,
and it fetches exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
And success with AI is all about context, literally. And so now we have a markdown table that actually contains the correct data, right? And so we're much more, we're going to get a better answer because we have the right information.
Right. And I think that that's something that is a like new muscle for people to do, right? It's like you might think like, oh, you have AI in your editor, like it just knows things, and it doesn't always just know things. You have to give it that context, and that's what makes it robust, and that's what gives it behaving like a person who was in the code base, right? You need to make sure it has the same context that a person would have.
That's very true. And it looks like, so I wrecked the agent there as it was going by opening up multiple tabs. I'm sorry, agent. But there's so something else I want to show people though, is that we've taken this and we've implemented some of this into insiders in like an experimental prompt that you can use today. So there's two things I want to show you. So I'm going to grab these settings and I'm just going to add them to my my workspace settings here. So the first one is this alternate GPT prompt. So we took some of what was in that mode and put it into the system prompt behind the scenes. And then we have this new to-do list tool that takes this idea of creating to-do lists, which Beast Mode uses, and makes it an actual tool in Visual Studio Code. The cool thing about this to-do list tool is that like Claude really likes this. And so if you use this, it will make these to-do lists. But let's revert. So let's get out of this.
Someone earlier said it's interesting how you kind of like guess what 4.1 likes more, like how it kind of has those preferences, and it is like kind of, you know, a lot of times people be like, what's your favorite model? What's this? And a lot of times it's, oh, well, it depends on what I'm doing, because models have different inclinations for, like, some really love tools, some don't. And so
that's very true. Yeah. And so like the way that my workflow chat is that I use 4.1 almost all the time. And then if I run into something that's very difficult or where 4.1 will get stuck with an error that it can't figure out, I'll call in Claude or GPT-5. If I'm doing design, I'm calling in Claude or GPT-5. Yeah, absolutely. But for tasks, just like the task that we're trying to do now. So let's run this back this time. Let's try the drag and drop again. And this time we're using the built-in prompt. So let's see here. You can see some of what I've been doing here. Ha! That's funny. Let me see. Let's do, where were we? Let's use chat in the, I use chat in the editor. I like that. So we can go. So this is with, now it's with the system prompt, with the tweaks we've added and with the to-do list tool enabled.
And is that only in insiders? Sorry, just to clarify those settings.
This is so you can see it's how it's making to-dos here. This is very cool. This is that built-in tool. This is, I think most of this is just in insiders, correct? But you can use it today. And anybody can use this. You can see it's kind of doing the same thing. It's installing D&D, sortable. Let's actually see what happens. You can see, though, that it doesn't, unlike Beast Mode, it does not talk to you the same way here. I don't know if you remember, but before, like, Beast Mode likes to come in and be like, yo, what's up? Hey, good to see you. Cool. Yeah, it's very, like, I worked really hard on it to make it very, like, friendly,
personable.
Yeah, exactly. But we don't, I don't, that kind of stuff isn't in the system prompt because I don't want to. You
don't want to creep people out.
Well, it's like the agent should be the agent. It doesn't need to be what Burke thinks its personality should be for
everyone. That's for
not
custom
everybody's
mode, right? You can, like, if you want a nice friendly agent, you can always do custom mode and have it tailor.
That's true. You can do a custom mode and tell it, yo, talk to me like a person.
Yeah, please be nice to me. Yeah.
Please be nice. Claude's actually really good at this. Claude will just talk to you like a human being out of the box, which is really nice. GPT-5 is also really good with its communication. It's not friendly, but it's very succinct, right? It's like, I'm gonna do this, now I'm gonna do this, now I'm gonna do this.
Right, you feel like you're in the loop of what's happening, yeah.
Right. In this case, we're just kind of like watching it burn through the list. So it installed, it implemented it. Now it's gonna update the state management, which is interesting because there is no state management. So that'll be, oh, no, there is. That would be the database, right? Yeah. Okay, so it's going through the SQL schema. And then we're going to test. So, the fascinating thing about this is like, y'all, this is all 4.1, right? So it's like all included. Like there's no premium request going on here. And this is not necessarily what's it called? A trivial task. So this is interesting. It's like, it's now implemented. However, it's not persisted. The database needs an order column and the API needs a patch, right? So here's a really good example of where I would have expected it to do this and it just didn't. Yeah. Right. And this is, so you'd have to go do it. Yeah. I am curious though, did it actually work? Like it just doesn't, I don't think, no, like there's no drag handles. So like how would it work?
How can one drag you?
Yeah. How can I drag? There are no drag handles. So that's essentially it. There's a couple of other things in beast mode. I'm going to stop it here that I added. So one of them is like chat. I don't go to this view anymore. I mostly just have the terminal open here on the side and then I'm here. And so if I wanted to stage and commit, I would just say stage and commit. And then there are instructions. So this is agent mode. So I'm not sure what it's going to do. Let's run it back on beast mode. Beast mode has specific instructions about how to stage and commit. So you can see it looks for changed files. And then here's what it's going to stage and commit. Here's the commit message. All changes are, it actually didn't do it though. That's quite interesting. It said it did, but it didn't.
I hate when it doesn't.
Classic 4.1. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
I think it's a little bit halfway. So there's that. And then I also added this idea of a memory to it. So sometimes 4.1 will make the same mistakes over and over and over again. And one of the mistakes that it would make is that it would try to use effect on server components, which if you're a React person, that's only for client. And so what you can do is you can just come in and say like, remember that use effect only works in client components like this. Provided this isn't going to mess it up. Let's start a new chat session here. And then you can see it's creating this file because it doesn't actually exist. And then it will start adding things to this file here, right? Like that. And then this just automatically gets added to every request. And this is just, and this is just me copying what ChatGPT actually does, where you can be like, yo, remember this thing, and it just remembers it. This is important because it has no memory. Remember we said it was like 51st date. Like it doesn't, it has no memory of what you were just doing. And so if we got the drag and drop working, I might say something like summarize and remember so that it puts that in the memory and it knows that we did that historically. And I sort of selectively choose what I want it to remember and what it doesn't really need to for later. Because if it remembers everything, this file is going to get enormous. And remember, like context windows are not infinite. Yeah.
A couple questions in the chat. So, so you're showing beast mode, but then you're also showing the setting to just put in the system prompt. If people want to try this out, do you suggest that they do that setting to put in the system prompt, or where can they get beast mode if they just want to try out beast mode without?
I think so. You can use the setting. I think you could try it both ways, right? It's kind of like how much of it do you want, right? So if you're looking for just sort of like the agentic, you want it to just complete more tasks, this should deliver that. you actually want both of these tools. If you want like the opinionated web searching and Googling and all that stuff that beast mode does, then you actually need to go and get beast mode itself. Yeah. And that you can find on my blog. Bam, there it is.
Woo, nice. We'll share the link.
We'll put a link up.
I
have a URL for this. I registered one, but it doesn't go anywhere. I mean, ultimately, I don't want this to live on. Like, I just want it to go away and be part of. People shouldn't have to piece all these tools together. Yeah. But in the meantime, you can create your own workflows to work the way that you want to work. And if beast mode is part of the way that you want to work, then you can do that. Oops,
well, that's what I think is like the most interesting thing to take away from this. Like, yes, beast mode's very cool. It's very interesting to see how you can get 4.1 to kind of behave more opinionated and get it to go how you want. But the key thing here is that you saw kind of a need, right? You're like, oh man, like if we fall back, we don't have a premium request. And there's ways in VS Code that you can then piece it together and be like, okay, how can I make this behave how I want it to? You're not just kind of stuck in the sense of, okay, this isn't behaving how I want. We have so many ways to customize and do chat modes, do custom instructions to help give it that context. I think that's very, very interesting. Like, see, like, I think it's really tempting to just be like, okay, this doesn't work and throw in the towel. But there's so many like other cool ways to get things to work how you want it to. So like beast mode might work for some people, but maybe other people have like something a little bit different. You have, some unique needs to your workflow, like make your own chat mode, be inspired by beast mode to do something that tailors to what you need to do if you're not quite seeing the model work how exactly you want it to.
Yeah, that's 100% right. And I think the other thing I learned here was that there's this, I even wrote a blog post on this, but I really used to just clown on the idea of prompt engineering. Like, I just thought that was the silliest thing in the whole world. I'm like, this is not a thing, right? The model is either good or it isn't good. Mm-hmm. And it turns out that actually is not entirely true at all. Mm-hmm. With the correct workflows and prompts, you can get models to do pretty remarkable things. And, can Sonnet do everything that 4.1 does? Yes. Yes, it can. And it doesn't need beast mode to do it. However, it's going to take you twice as long because Sonnet is a reasoning model. So it's all like, well, what do you want to do, right? Do you have unlimited premium requests and you don't mind waiting? Then go use Sonnet. But if you are like me and you want to iterate, because I don't want to do a bunch and then have the model come back and be like, yo, here's a feature with 50 change files. Like, well, now I don't know what the project's doing anymore. Mm-hmm. I don't know if the code's structured correctly. But with 4.1, you kind of get forced into this like iterative, do this. Right. Okay, that looks right. Accept. Commit. Okay, now do this. It is really all about how you want to work, and you can tailor the model to the way that you want to work. Mm-hmm. And that's how it should be, right? Right. We shouldn't all be doing the same thing. And we're never going to get to the place where we're just like, hey, yo, AI.
Right.
Do everything. Yeah, I just don't think I just don't see how that's ever going to be the case.
And I think like, right, maybe you take the CTA here is go try out beast mode, but I think like the bigger CTA is really go try all these customizations that you can do to get to where you want to
figure out what workflow works for you with AI. Yeah, I think that's the takeaway is like, what manner of working works for you? If you try something and you're like, this sucks. Okay. Try something else.
What are you expecting? How can we get it there? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. I think one of the things that I even struggle with this, and I would challenge you, chat, do this in everything that you do for the rest of the day. If you're doing something, ask yourself, could I be doing this with AI? The answer is almost certainly yes. Mm-hmm. You have to think about new ways of working. It just doesn't look like what you've been doing before.
Yeah, it's absolutely a new muscle. Like you'd have to train yourself into it. It's a new skill set. And
correct. And that's awkward. It doesn't feel good. It's not fun. It's frustrating. No one likes that, me included. Mm-hmm. So I can commiserate with those feelings if you have them, chat. I don't know if you do. Maybe everybody's super happy all the time. Yeah.
Keep in your world. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Burke, is there anything else that you want to leave us on before we say goodbye? But really,
come join us on the AMA. That's gonna be fun. Yeah, you can ask us all sorts of awkward questions you think we won't answer.
Yep. Links on the screen. GitHub Copilot subreddit. Cool AMA. Tyler and Connor are gonna be there. Pierce.
They are. Yeah.
Lots of people are gonna be there. Yeah. Brigit's gonna be there. I think almost everyone you saw today is going to be there. So yeah, if you want to hang out with them again, head over to the GitHub Copilot AMA.
Nice.
Cool.
Thanks for having me on.
Right. Thanks,
Love the
Burke.
show.
Thanks.
Long time
It was very
listener.
meta
First-time
having
caller.
you on here with me.
Yeah.
I feel like we're just like in our one-on-one or something.
I know. Just send a
Hanging
Teams
out.
call. Just hang
Yeah,
out.
right.
We'll start a chat. Should we make a podcast?
Let's do it. And it's just us.
Where can
chatting
Olivia do a
all day.
podcast? I mean, we can just keep going. When is the AMA? It's like it's
10
oh, there's the link.
10:30
Thank
Pacific.
you.
So in 50 minutes.
Coder nerd, or you're late. Sorry to be. Did you just get here?
That's okay. If you're late, coder nerd, good to see you.
Yeah. No problem.
But yeah, always on demand. So you can always catch it up after. Cool. Well, thanks, Burke. Everyone catch Burke on the AMA in 50 minutes. Otherwise, follow him on Twitter. He posts a ton of stuff and he shares his commiserations. So you can learn from them. Let Burke commiserate for you first and then just go from there. Cool. Thanks, Burke. All right. That's going to bring us to our last guest today, April. Hey, April.
Hello, how are you?
I'm
And
good.
hello.
How are you doing?
I am doing all right. How's everyone in the chat? I've been following along to see what everyone's talking about. But
I know lots of cool things. April, I love anytime I'm like in a call with you or anything because I feel like your background is just always so cheerful and like I feel like it's just like, oh, this is nice. Like you just have such a cool design aesthetic, and I love it.
Thank you. You know, I have to work in beautiful spaces. My definition of beautiful, I should say, at least. Otherwise, it's just so hard to concentrate. But it does make recording videos easier. So
yeah, totally. Cool. Well, I think this is the first time you've been on the vscode channel in general before, but I think this is the first time we've ever had you on the release live stream.
Yeah, very first time, long time fan of VS Code. Wrote a whole book about VS Code. So I've been a VS Code fan for quite some years, I would say now, but first time live with you all. So I'm excited.
I love it. Yes. Okay. If you want to just give a little bit of background on what your role is at Microsoft and then dive into what you're going to be showing today on the live stream.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am, like you and Burke, also a cloud advocate here at Microsoft. I'm actually on our AI team, and my focus these days is around our AI developer extensions. And so I spend a lot of time working with the AI toolkit. And so for those who check out a lot of the videos on the VS Code YouTube channel, I do have a series on here for creating agents, and it's with the AI toolkit. And then there's also the Azure AI Foundry extension as well. And I dabble a little bit within GitHub Copilot. And so, yeah, Aries has a question, the whole book. Yeah, it's based on Python. I wrote it a couple years ago for folks who are new to VS Code, but have Python experience. But yeah, so I would say, yeah, I spend most of my day working with the AI toolkit. And today I'm actually going to show you one of the features that I think will be helpful for folks who are still trying to figure out which model to select when they're using GitHub Copilot chat, because there's a lot of options.
Yeah, I feel like this is super coming right off of Burke's session, we're talking about, okay, like how can you make the model behave how you want? How do you know which model to do? How do you pick? And so what you're about to show, I'm very excited for people to see, because you know, there is like the element of, okay, like this kind of feels like it does this, it feels different, it feels like this, but you're about to kind of show us how you can actually evaluate, right? And
yeah, absolutely. And I'm curious in the chat, so how have folks chosen their model for GitHub Copilot chat? Because for me, I'm going to be honest with you, Olivia, when I first started using it, I just used whatever was the first one that popped up.
Oh yeah, I would say honestly,
that was
that's
the
what
model.
most people are going to say, yeah.
But, you know, as time has evolved, we've had new features roll out. We've had new models that have landed. So we do have a lot of things to consider when we're trying to figure out which model to use. And I think Burke made some really good points during his segment that models that are available, they're all pretty capable, but some are more capable than others than doing certain tasks. And so rather than try one model and say, oh, this sucks, it can't do X, Y, Z, well, there's prompt engineering, like Burke mentioned, but then also you might not using the most optimal model for what you're trying to do. So with that said, can I go ahead and share my screen? Awesome. Yeah. All right. So most folks are probably already familiar with this screen in terms of choosing your model that's going to be available. And so right now for me, like if I was brand new to using GitHub Copilot Chat, I couldn't
This is
even tell you which
overwhelming,
one I would choose. There's a lot that's in here.
Mhm.
But fortunately, we do have a feature available in the AI toolkit, that extension I mentioned earlier. I'll bring the extension up really quick, its page at least, so you can see it. Let me see. And I think we did share the link to it at least earlier. But the AI toolkit, it's going to be really useful for discovering models, testing out models, creating and prototyping agents, evaluating agents. You can evaluate the models on here as well. We have the ability to now view threads on here. But I'm going to be focusing on the model playground, and particularly the compare feature that's in there, because the compare feature is going to enable us to actually select 2 models and run one prompt and see the output at the same time on the screen. So while you could probably compare different models using the GitHub Copilot Chat UI by just switching from one model to the other with the same prompt, the feature that we have in the playground and the AI toolkit puts both right there on the screen, and you just submit one prompt once and then you see the output. So with that said, I'm going to hop on over to the extension. And within the extension, I'm going to go to the model catalog. So within the AI toolkit, we do have GitHub hosted models in here, which are going to be super helpful because they're going to be free to use. Yes, they're rate limited, but it's a really good starting place if you're trying to figure out which models to potentially use for your project. But for the sake of figuring out which model to use for GitHub Copilot Chat, as I scroll down here, you can search for the models. And so whatever models are available with GitHub Copilot Chat, you can likely find them here as well in the toolkit. I know GPT-5 just became a big thing.
Yeah.
So I went on ahead and I added that model. But then I also hear we have some Sonnet 4 fans in the crowd as well.
Yep.
And so with that said, I also added in Claude Sonnet 4 too. So what we can do from here is we can start by actually testing out the model itself in the playground. And so if I open up the playground, here we are. It'll load the models. And then this is what the UI is going to look like. And so right now I have Claude 4 Sonnet selected. You can also define your system prompt. And so if you do have Copilot instructions, for example, you can plop that right in here.
Oh,
and then you can start to, it's super convenient. So that way you can at least define the behavior of the model. And then from there, you can start chatting with it. But this, as you can see, I can only see my output for one model. I can't see output for 2 models. So what you would then do in that case is click this compare button. And then this is where I'll get a list of all the models that I currently have loaded into the AI toolkit. And so right now, I think I'm using Claude 4 Sonnet. I'm also going to add GPT-5 in here as well. We do have this reminder here that each model is evaluated based on its capabilities. So if you're trying to compare a model that supports image attachments and one that doesn't, it's not going to be technically an actual fair comparison because one can process images and the other ones don't. But
that's a good
in
reminder, I think something, especially with images, people forget that not every model is capable of that.
Exactly. It would be awesome if they all were, but unfortunately, some are just a little different than others. But with that said, here, as you can see, I have Claude 4 Sonnet selected on the left and then GPT-5 on the right-hand side. I can always just switch these out at any point as well, but I'll keep these in here since these are the 2 that I have selected. Now, you may wonder, where did that box go to add in the instructions that you're going to want to use to compare the models? So this little little slider kind of bar looking icon is where you can come in and add in that system prompt. That's going to then populate across both of the models. And so this is where you can really kick things off with figuring out which model is going to be best for your particular use case. And so for me, most of what I do in VS Code is really anything with Python. So I'm going to keep my system prompt super simple. And I'll say that you're a Python pro. I would probably be more detailed than that in a real world scenario. But with that said, so we have that defined. And then you can also set some of the parameters too. All right. So from here, what I would say to do is to start submitting prompts that are going to be relevant for whatever it is that you're going to be using GitHub Copilot for. I did go ahead and pull together just some prompts that would help me get an idea of which of the two would be best for Python development. And so I'm just going to copy and paste those in here. But let's see. So this one is in, go ahead.
Remind me real quick, did you need to sign in to the extension or anything to get this? Like what's backing the connection to these models here?
Yeah, so I do believe in the setup. It's been a while since I did the setup for it. So once you do download the extension, that's a really good question, Olivia, because now I forgot how I got started with this one. Once you do the installation, I do believe there might be a sign-in as well, because you will need access to the GitHub hosted models that are in here for free. I haven't signed out of here in a while, but I do believe you will need to do that at least to get access. Now, the models like Claude 4, for example, that one's not a GitHub hosted model. You'll see on the screen that I'm accessing it via Anthropic. I happen to have an API key from Anthropic, so that's how I was able to load that in here. So that is something that's worth knowing, that if you are bringing your own key for models that you're using, you can add them here from the toolkit as well to try it out.
Awesome. Cool.
So,
thanks.
Yeah, absolutely.
To break up your demo.
You're fine. So what I'm going to do here is add in this prompt that says, here's some Python code that throws an error, fix it so it runs correctly. Now, one thing I personally am not a fan of is that sometimes these models just have super long explanations when in my head, I ask just a simple question. Right. So I like to see who can get right to the point, and you can define that in the instructions as well. But I also like to see just at its very base level, how typically would the models respond. And so let's see if it nicely likes this code I'm about to put into here.
I love what you're saying there too. And I think that this has kind of been a theme, right? Like you're saying that like you want it to just get to the point. Like someone else might be like, oh, I love it being verbose. And like that's where this is so helpful, is because you can do the comparison and see, okay, that's the response I prefer. That's like more of that vibe I'm looking for. And so there are models that are better suited for certain things, but then there are also some people just have preferences. Like you could just have someone who's like, I hate GPT-5 because of this, and someone's like, that's the reason I love it, right? And that's why I think it's really cool to be able to do that side-by-side comparison.
Yeah, and that brings up a good point before I press enter here. I think as we go and hear folks' that's not even proper grammar, but as we go and hear folks insist what their preferred model is, you do have to understand and realize that everyone does have their preferences. Not everyone's building the same thing. And so that's why I think it is important that we are doing some level of evaluation on our own when we're choosing the models that we're going to use, whether it's for coding assistance or whether it's the model that's powering whatever it is that you're building. So it is very important that you do your own due diligence and you test things out. So let's run this and see how it's going to do. And you'll notice that the prompt populated on both sides. Now, Claude was quick.
Yeah, I love
Claude went with it.
Like right off the gate. Like
yes, GPT-5, it's still generating. Which
makes sense. It's a reasoning model. It's thinking. Yes.
Yeah. So it'll come join us in just a moment. But at least I can see here with the output that I have from Claude, it did say that it runs without throwing an error, but there might be an issue related to indentation. That's what I wanted it to catch. I wanted it to catch that indentation concern, because if you notice here, even though I have this function, I didn't indent that print statement. And so it did catch that. And I think the fact that it also, the way it explains what the mistake was, for me, this is what I would anticipate. So GPT-5 it's coming.
There might be, I feel like anytime like a model comes out for the first time too, you always kind of deal with like the capacity influx too. And so sometimes you see a little bit of spotty.
Yeah, absolutely. And it might be a little shy because it knows it's live right now on this live stream.
Everyone's watching me.
Yes, pretty much. But yeah, I did some tests earlier and it was moving just a hair bit quicker. But right now it's still generating, I would say. But essentially, this is how that comparison. Oh, here it is. Okay. So I don't know if I like this output.
Yeah, at first I was like, is it still going? And I was like, no, that's just out.
Yeah, it's done. However, it is definitely using some different formatting though.
Mhm.
And so whereas I would personally, even though I do like straight to the point, GPT-5 did literally get like
A little
straight to the
too,
point.
yeah.
Yeah, I do like a certain level of explanation here, I
Mhm.
would say. And so this is where I think we can really kick off that journey of actually evaluating your models to figure out which one's going to be best when you're using any coding assistant. And for me, I like to build a lot of things. I am not a front end person. I'm not even going to pretend that I am. So when I am putting together code samples where I need like a UI of some sort, that's really where I use a lot of GitHub Copilot.
Same.
And so, yeah. And so it's been super helpful to get a good feel of which model works best given the scenario of what I am creating. But I will say this though, Olivia, maybe 2 days after GPT-5 came out, I was using it in GitHub Copilot chat to create, I got into electronics recently. And so I used it to help build the UI for this like circuit simulator where you can pull in the LEDs and the wires and the battery source. And it's pretty cool. And it did a really great job at building that out. So I think like for using it for like UI purposes, I'll probably continue to stick with it for sure.
Mhm.
But based on like what I just did for evaluations, I am liking Claude 4 here a little more for this particular scenario. So that's what I wanted to come share with folks, that if you're trying to figure out which model to use, here's an extension to help you out.
Yeah, and I feel like this is so like I think in every single live stream we've ever had and every single video ever posted about GitHub Copilot, there's always comments of people just being like, okay, you're using this model. How'd you decide to do that? Why did you do this? Like, how can I figure that out? And I feel like this is such a good way to be like, because I can tell you why I'm using it. April, you just said why you preferred Claude's response versus GPT-5's. I'm sure there's some people in the chat who are like, oh, GPT-5 was so much better. Just like, I like that response better because it was just that. And so like, this is such a good tool to point to as, yeah, I can tell you what my preferences are, but go try it out and see which side-by-side comparison you prefer. Which one is the response that you would prefer and that you would be looking for from your model?
Yep.
So yeah, I think that's very
absolutely cool. Yeah, and the last thing I'll end with is that this is just one way to evaluate models in the toolkit. Things can get a bit more advanced. We do have the ability to do much more robust manual evaluations where you can define that like a list of prompts in advance and then run it with the model to see how the output is. And then you can also do AI-assisted evaluation as well, which is when we bring in evaluators in which AI is in the background doing the assessment for you. So this is just really like the beginning of evaluating models. Yeah, things get more advanced though.
I was gonna say that's like AI evaluating AI. Like
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, hopefully for those who are tuning in, hopefully you'll give this a try and it'll help you with figuring out which model is going to be best for whatever it is that you're creating.
Yeah, totally. Coder Nerd said I'm installing the extension right now. So let us know any feedback. Is there actually with that, is there in the repo, is that kind of the best place to give feedback if they see anything? What's the best way to get that back to your team?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you do go to, I know aka.ms/AI toolkit will take you to the actual extension itself in the extension page, I should say, within the VS Code Marketplace. But within there, there should be a link to the GitHub repo where you can go ahead and submit feedback as well. So definitely, we do want to hear the feedback from you all and give it a try. I think from here, things can only get better because the team, they're adding new features. I've seen some of the new features. And so I think if you're at a point where you are building with AI or using AI, you'll like what's coming soon. So yeah.
Awesome. Cool. April, thanks so much for coming on here. Like she mentioned, She has a whole video series on the vscode channel as well. So make sure to head over to our YouTube channel so you can see some of that with building with agents. But thank you so much for being on. I'm sure that we will be seeing you in AI Toolkit more in the future. But again, like I'm such a fan of telling people about these sort of tools to just help people in their journey with using AI for the best possible response that they're looking for their workflow. So thanks for being here.
Thanks.
All right, have a good one. All right, and then that actually closes us out for the day. But there are a couple of quick plugs I want to do. I'm actually going to share my screen again because I stopped sharing it. So sorry, producer. Okay. So one thing I want to do a quick plug for is we had someone in the chat earlier be like, hey, I'm actually kind of new to VS Code, new to GitHub Copilot. Like, what can I do to get started? We actually have this really cool initiative happening in September. That's a series of community events all over the world. So if you go to aka.ms/vscode/devdays, I think is the aka.ms. Yes, what's on the screen right now. You can head to the site right now and find one of these community meetups near you. And this is a great way to just learn with your local dev community and explore how VS Code and GitHub Copilot can work together. So this is a really great way. We will be doing kind of a virtual skilling event version of this in September on the YouTube channel as well. But I highly, highly recommend joining one of these in your city. If you are not in one of these cities, you can see that there's plenty of places that are not covered. Feel free to reach out and let us know if you'd want to organize one of these and be one of those community voices to help. So just want to do a quick plug for that. Very cool. Head to that link to see more and learn more about that. And then the other plug I just want to do again is for the GitHub Copilot AMA, which is happening in 29 minutes. So you can head over to the GitHub Copilot subreddit, and like 80% of the people who are on this call today are going to be there answering questions. We can hear from Burke, Brigit, Connor, Tyler, Pierce, Izzy, Harold. I think almost like all the PMs are going to be there, and then a few of the engineers are going to be there as well, answering all of your questions. So make sure to head over there if you just have some other things that you want to hear straight from the product team as well. With that, another great release stream. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can catch this on demand. There's a lot of really great stuff here. And then make sure just to head to the release notes if there's other things that you want to learn about, dive deeper into the docs, and just see everything else that was in there. Because if you can believe it, like this 2 hours of content was just scratching the surface of everything that was in the release. So check that out. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll catch you next time.